Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
So, if you went back in time and told yourself 10 years ago that they were going to make a Shazam movie,
Uh-huh.
do you think you would have believed it?
Yeah, I don't think there's any. Well, I shouldn't say that. DC has a lot of bad properties. I don't think there's any like marginally popular property that DC won't at least attempt to make a movie on. Especially 10 years ago, we still had the MCU going strong, and they were pulling out all sorts. Of course, DC was going to try to play catch up.
Yeah,
But
it's Shazam.
yeah, but if you had asked me, did you think there would be 2 Captain Marvel movies in one year?
I mean, Shazam's not like a popular character though, at all.
Well, no, he's not up there with like Superman or Batman, obviously, but he's fairly popular and here and there, and they've been publishing Shazam comics for a while, and it gets the readership it needs. But no, compared to like most DC, he doesn't have the automatic like recognition
Yeah.
from people. He has his fan base, and it's not an insignificant fan base, but like you show Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman or even Aquaman to non-comic book readers, and they know who they are. You show Shazam or Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
DC's Captain Marvel, Fawcett Comics Captain Marvel to any a non-comics reader, and they're like, I don't know who that is. Lightning Boy.
Yep.
Who's that?
So, in case you haven't figured out, we're going to be reviewing
Shazam! You gotta pronounce it with the exclamation mark because it's in the title.
Is it?
Yep.
I guess it is, isn't it?
Shazam! Exclamation point.
Right. So I'm Niall,
And I'm Nolan.
and we're gonna be doing our normal thing of a spoiler-free review, and giving you a big ol' spoiler warning and going a little more in depth into this movie. So without further ado, I think they made the best possible movie they could make under the circumstances. Those circumstances being Shazam's kind of a lame character, and they did not have near the budget that Superman or Wonder Woman had.
Or especially Aquaman had a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it shows in places. Some of the CG is a little rough. Not all of it. It's just...
Well, it's not really that much like effects heavy shots in the movie.
Right. They actually... You don't start to see like major effects. You see some obvious effects, but it's pretty like fairly mundane stuff as far as superhero movies go. You don't see like real heavy effect shots till like the last act. But some of the flying is, not the best I've seen. Some of the CG creatures, sometimes they're, it stands out as CG, and sometimes it's not so bad. I think they just maybe need a little bit more money, a little bit more time for some of the effects. But I'm not saying they're bad effects. I'm just saying it's sort of like at the level you would expect from like early MCU movies.
Yeah.
But after seeing like, the more recent superhero movies out there, you expect a little bit better. And there's some cheesy points in it, the movie, but overall, I think it's a pretty fun movie.
I think it's the most entertaining DCU movie so far.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the best. I think Wonder Woman might still be the best of them so far.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked Aquaman a lot, and I just thought Aquaman was alright. But this I like better than Aquaman. It has a certain like campiness and a certain charm and like some childish wonderment to it that the others lack.
Yep.
And I thought the 2 main child actors, the one that plays Billy Batson and Freddy, they're both really good.
Yeah, they are.
In this, and so as far as like child actors go, especially, they're very good. The the Asian kid and the little girl,
Oh yeah,
they're obnoxious.
yeah,
And they're not the greatest
yeah.
of actors, but the two main ones are really good. And then Mark Strong is just like, you could tell he's having a really good time, just sort of chewing the scenery. He's pretty good. Like he always is. He plays so many villains, and whenever he does, they're always just sort of
Sinister.
really deliciously sinister.
Yeah.
You can tell he's having a good time with it, and Zachary Levi's having a good time with it.
Yeah.
And that really shows in the performances.
Well, I think Zachary Levi is just like, I get to be in a big blockbuster superhero movie.
Yeah.
Because you look at the sort of stuff he's done before this, and not much in the way of like big deal big deal roles. Like this is sort of his first.
Yeah, I mean he's done a lot of TV. He's been in a lot of like
He's done
major movies, but as smaller roles.
Yeah, and he's done voice acting. He's in Tangled.
Yeah, but I remember he kind of came on the scene with Chuck, right? He played Chuck, the titular Chuck.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think he's just excited to be leading in a big budget superhero movie. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, like pretty much any real fault. I do have. I'll get more into it in the spoiler part. I do have one issue with a story point.
Okay.
At the very end of the movie. But the overall, I think really what it comes down to is like any sort of cheesiness or cringy sort of stuff in the movie just comes down to it's Shazam.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
kind of always that way.
Yeah, the characters that they have to work with in the the Shazam family. If you are a reader of Shazam, you will know who all these characters are.
Yeah.
That especially like the current run of Shazam. So like going into it, when you meet the characters, like you'll know like, oh, that's that character. You know who they are.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly humorous movie, especially compared to like the like Justice League and Batman v Superman and all that. They're definitely going with a more like lighthearted, family friendly. There are some pretty like scary images in this with the depictions of the seven sins.
Yeah.
These demon characters, they're pretty creepy.
Yeah.
And that might have been because some people got up and left like partway through. They had some really young kids with them. That might have been why they left.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that, but you might be right on that.
Because there were some really creepy images in there. But overall, they're keeping it. It's definitely more family friendly. Than some of the other.
I mean, it
DC
is still
movies.
PG-13.
Yeah, it is still PG-13, but I think there's sort of a wholesomeness that's there that's not in the other ones.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the nature of the character of Shazam, anyway.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed the movie. I recommend it. There's not a whole lot out right now, anyway. But if you're looking for, just a fun action movie.
Remember when we sat down out in the theater, I was contemplating why, because this was an early showing.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't come out till 2 weeks from this weekend.
I think so.
April 5th. So yeah, that's in 2 weeks. So, no, that's next weekend, right? No, yeah, it's in 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we saw this as an early showing, like we did with Alita, and we did with
How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon, and we did with Lego Movie, right? Or was
We
Alita?
didn't see Alita
Yeah,
early.
Alita. It was Lego Movie 2 and
Yeah.
and How to Train Your Dragon.
We did not see Alita early.
That was How to Train Your Dragon. That was DreamWorks, right?
Yeah, but it's distributed.
Was it distributed by Warner?
It might have been. It's every one of them's had a different distributor. Universal was one of them.
No, because Lego Movie 2 is Warner Brothers.
Every one of the How to Train Your Dragon movies.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about these 3 movies that we.
No. How to Train Your Dragon movies have all been distributed by different studios.
Right. Let's see. Let's see if we can find out. I wish they just had that information up top on IMDb.
Yeah, you know what? It's not even there on the mobile version anywhere.
Yeah, I don't even remember where to. Let's see. Production company, DreamWorks, Mad Hatter Entertainment, distributors, Universal. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like it's a Warner Brothers thing.
Yeah.
But
I think
I just think we're in this part of the year where there's just not much in the way of movies. So, and they've all been Fandango deals. Like they've all been Fandango early showing or Fandango whatever.
Yeah, I figured when they started doing it, I figured they were doing it because they had enough confidence in the movie to put them out early.
I think
I don't know if these ticket sales are going to go to the opening weekend ticket sale numbers.
probably.
So yeah, but yeah, I think overall, I'm sure this movie will do well. It's not. I don't think it's really competing against much anyway, and
It's not.
They don't have a score up on IMDb, but I think it'll get fairly good reviews.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I think if you're gonna pick between the 2 Captain Marvel movies,
I don't know.
they're on par with each other.
Yeah. They're both decent movies. Here's the thing: is like comparing the 2 movies by themselves, they're both fine movies.
Mm-hmm.
But comparing the 2 of them with the other movies in each of their franchises, this is a better movie in comparison. Like compared to the other DCU movies, this is a much better movie than Captain Marvel is compared to the other MCU movies.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. Yeah, like I said, it's I enjoyed it. It's fun. It has, it's a few cringy moments. It has some special effects issues that are not major problems or anything. It's just you can see like a lesser quality, even compared to other parts of the same movie.
Yeah. Well, there's one shot in particular where he's like really high up above the city, flying, and like that there was a particular shot in that I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was like bad green screen.
Looking at it here, it looks like the only thing Shazam's really going to be competing with is Dumbo. Like that's the only thing that's going to come out that is in any way a real competitor, because otherwise it's like Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, there's not as much.
The following weekend's Hellboy. Like there's nothing really that's. I mean, there's going to be some crossover audience with Hellboy, but like that's an R-rated indie comic movie, not a mainstream DC movie. You know?
I'll say that though Shazam is much more lighthearted than Captain Marvel. Yeah, they try to be funnier than Captain Marvel does. There were some actually really funny moments
There
in
were.
Shazam that
There were
had
actually
everyone
some
laughing.
genuinely funny moments in Shazam, which is weird from a DC movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's the last time?
Sometimes they tried too hard to be funny, and it just doesn't.
The last time we really laughed in a DC movie was laughing that the villain was Steppenwolf in Justice League.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the reasons why they went after an actor like Zachary Levi, who does have a comedy background.
Yeah,
You know, so they were trying to be funny with it from the get go. But yeah, I think that's about all we can say
without spoiling
anything. So let's go into the spoiler warning
Sure.
section.
So the issue I had was with Envy.
Okay.
Because like he coaxes Envy out of Mark Strong's eye,
Right.
and then he lightning bolts it, which after he saves Mark Strong and he flies off back towards the carnival, Envy like reforms and has this look of like, I'm gonna go pursue him, and then like they go back to the carnival, the fight's finished, and I kept expecting Envy to show up and they have to fight him some more. And then
he like sneaks off somewhere.
But his statue was there when they returned the sphere.
Right. So
In the cave. So like,
yeah, and we were expecting like some sort of like setup for like a future movie, maybe even.
Yeah, we were expecting
where
to
Envy
see
isn't
like
there.
Yeah, we were like expecting them to like go back to the cave and replace the orb and the statues reform.
But Envy's is still crumbled.
But Envy's is still crumbled and missing. And they would go, oh crap, you know, or like even before that, I was expecting them to like get back to the carnival. Everyone's like, woo, thank you, Team Shazam. Thank you, the Shazams.
Well, he's not even known as Shazam at any point in the like they were calling him like not Red Tornado. That's another DC character, like Red Twister or something.
They were calling him lots of.
They were calling him like names throughout. Like they were.
It was a running joke through the movie
that he didn't have a name and people were like making up names like Captain Sparkly Fingers or something. You know, as one of them.
Yeah, but yeah, I was expecting them to get back to the. What was the Philadelphia Winter Carnival? Because it takes place around Christmas.
Yeah.
And
in Philadelphia.
And I was expecting them to get back to the carnival thing. And they were to, you know, everyone's like, thank you, Captains Marvel, and then Envy shows up and then they have to fight Envy
like
some more, and then like it didn't happen.
Right.
It was like, okay, well, maybe they'll realize he's missing when they, you know, like put the sins back into their statue prisons, and no, statue reforms. So like, I don't know. That's my only main issue with the story is like that's unresolved.
Yeah.
And even the mid-credits scene didn't like set that up or anything.
No.
There's a mid-credits and a post-credits scene. The post-credits scene's pretty funny. But even like the mid-credits scene.
Well, see, when he started hearing that voice, I was like, oh, maybe that's Envy or something talk to him. But no, it's saying Mr. Mind.
Yeah, the caterpillar.
The caterpillar?
It's like a hyper-intelligent caterpillar.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is DC.
Yeah.
Well, was that hyper-intelligent caterpillar? Was that from the
I don't know
Fawcett days?
I don't know if it's from the Fawcett days or if it's something DC made up when they rebooted Shazam in the Silver Age.
Because that is such a Silver Age villain, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the history. I'm not a big DC guy. Most of my DC knowledge comes from like the movies and cartoons. And Captain Marvel or Shazam, because they still call him Captain Marvel within the comics and the cartoons, if I'm not mistaken. They still do most of the time. But they can't call him that like on the cover of any books or anything. They might have at this point. DC might have just been like, let's just call him Shazam.
Yeah,
and drop the Captain Marvel thing. But I believe in Young Justice, he's Captain Marvel still. I haven't watched the third season, so I don't know for sure. But he was in the first season.
Okay, well, yeah. So, but other than that, this movie is
With a name like that, it's problematic because he can't actually tell anyone his name.
yeah. So, regarding the time period, like the time of year in which this takes place, an avenue argument against the people who want to make the claim that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Like, no, Die Hard is as much a Christmas movie as Shazam is.
Yeah.
Like, it takes place
it really
at Christmas.
doesn't have to take place at Christmas at all.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't.
I get the feeling that this movie, they wanted it to release in December initially. And that's why they had said it that way. I really get the feeling that was what was going to happen.
That could be.
Because, yeah, there's, like, no reason for it to be a Christmas.
Except you lose all these, like, Santa Claus jokes. There's, like, this guy who plays, like, a mall Santa, and he keeps, like, winding up, like, in these situations where, like, Shazam and the bad guy are fighting.
Yeah.
You'd lose those jokes, but, I mean, yeah, otherwise,
But
it's not like
it's not relevant to the story.
No. As far as plot goes, there's no reason why it needs to take place at Christmas.
Yeah.
Other than maybe that's when they could schedule shooting. That could have also been a thing. Like, that's when they could schedule shooting was in the winter.
Yeah.
So who knows? One thing that I wish the designs of the sins closer resembled their names. Like, the only one you can point out and go, I know exactly who that is, was like Gluttony and like Wrath.
Yeah.
And the rest couldn't really like readily tell.
Well, Wrath just looked like Chernobog.
Yeah.
From Fantasia.
Well, we were guessing that one was Wrath. They told
the big fat one with the like stomach that opened up down its whole length like a 40k demon. I was like that's
his mouth opened up, not his stomach.
His stomach opened up as a mouth.
Yeah. It had a big old mouth and a
like,
big old stomach. Yeah, that one's
I was like, that one's probably Gluttony.
Gluttony.
Or Nurgle. It's one of those two.
They told us Greed. They pointed out, like, this one's Greed. And they don't tell us the names of any of the others, and we're just left to guess, but they weren't obvious in their designs which one was which. But there was a funny joke at the end when, near the end, when Shazam's trying to coach, because as long as he has at least one of the sins contained within him, he's impervious to damage.
Right. Mark Strong's. I don't even know the name of that villain. Hold on, let me look this up.
Something.
Dr. Thaddeus Savannah?
Yeah, and so he's trying to like coax envy out of him. Envy's still inside. I'm trying to coax envy out of him, and he's just describing each one. He's like, and lust, which I was expecting to be way hotter.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm guessing lust might be the one with the long tongue. I don't know.
Yeah, but Gluttony also had a long tongue.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. Any other spoilers? Oh, at the end, the end credit scene, which is pretty good. So there's this part in the movie where his friend
his fellow
his
foster
kid Freddy, who knows his secret, he tells everyone that he knows the new superhero in town, and like, oh, I'll get him to show up at lunch. I'll get him to show up at lunch, and
Billy doesn't show up because he's like in the park taking selfies with people.
Well, he kind of feels like also Freddy's like using him, which he is.
Yeah.
But so he doesn't show up, and he's humiliated
and bullied.
And
which, by the way.
Okay, there's these two bullies that are always beating up on the cripple kid. I mean, come on. No one puts a stop to this. No one is like, oh yeah, you're a tough guy, beat up on the cripple kid.
Yeah, no other kids are gonna step in and stop two guys from beating up a cripple kid. No staff, no faculty, no security guards.
The school has no faculty that like are there to watch over these.
I mean, there's an inordinate amount of security guards at this school.
But no one ever steps in to stop the two two bullies from beating up on a crippled kid.
And almost running him over with their truck.
Seriously, what the hell's wrong with this?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the end credits scene is he walks in at the lunchroom and he's like, "Yeah, I'm here to have lunch with my best friend Freddy," you know, and he's like, "Oh, I bought a friend too," and then like Superman walks in, but you don't see his face because Henry Cavill was not available.
They were still filming.
They were still filming Mission Impossible,
which tells me that this movie got delayed because that was a long time ago.
Right. So he walks in and you see him from like the shoulders down, like the neck down, but it's Superman. And everyone's like gasping, right? And because this kid's like a huge Superman fan, also. But I mean, it was an amusing scene.
But the mid credits scene, is Mark Strong in his jail cell.
He's trying to, because there's the way to get to the wizard's realm. The wizard Shazam has this realm where all the seven the council wizards were held council and everything. You got to write this series of runes 7 times on a door and it'll open to the And so he's been trying to write it, but it's not working for him anymore. And then Mr. Mind, the caterpillar, which was shown earlier, because when you first early in the movie, when it first shows the realm, he's in a jar, and then next time you see it, the jar's broken.
Yeah, and the first time they showed it, it just felt like, oh yeah, here's to emphasize the weirdness of this place.
Right, unless you're familiar with the character, which I was not.
Yeah.
So people who are fans will probably be like, oh, dude, it's Mr. Mind. And then later, when he shows him escape, they're like, oh no, he's escaped.
Yeah, he shows up and I guess recruits Mark Strong.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope they make more of these, because I was more entertained by this movie than any of the other DC movies.
Mm-hmm.
Is he gonna be in the next Justice League movie?
I think so.
I hope so.
The credits sequence was fun too. It was this animated credit sequence, and it all looks like doodles in the kid's notebook.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty funny.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, go see this movie.
Yeah. I guess that's all we really have to say.
What's our next movie, Nolan? Dumbo, right?
Dumbo.
Yeah, Dumbo's next weekend, which I'm interested to see, because it looks like the first of these live-action adaptations. So, okay, well, I can say first, because Maleficent was interesting, because it wasn't just an exact retelling.
Jungle Book wasn't either. They took more of the book.
I'm going to be honest, I forgot about Jungle Book.
Jungle Book, Jon Favreau directed that. Jungle Book was a lot closer to the book, from my understanding.
But yeah,
and that was interesting.
Beauty and the Beast and the Cinderella?
Cinderella was a little bit different. Beauty and the Beast was almost identical. They added a couple additional scenes
that were I see why they were additional songs that they added,
but that were cut out of the original.
Right, and then after watching it, we're like, oh, I see why they cut these out of the original, because they're
not great.
They're not great. They're not catchy in
There's
any
an
way.
additional scene that shows what happened to her mother. She died of the plague or something.
Yeah.
So,
but then Cinderella wasn't an exact retelling, but it was pretty close.
Pretty close.
But Dumbo looks like it's actually going to be fairly different.
Yeah, it does look like
because it doesn't look like the animals are of human level intelligence.
Yeah, they're not talking animals or anything, as far as I can tell. They've replaced Timothy with his role with this girl, or or
Danny
maybe
DeVito,
they might have split him up even a little bit, between this girl and then Colin Farrell's character. Or something.
Oh yeah, Colin Farrell, man.
So it does look fairly different. And I'm interested in that. It's Tim Burton, and I haven't seen something from Tim Burton in a while that I've really enjoyed, but I've liked a lot of his earlier work, so I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
we'll get something good out of it.
And then the weekend after that is probably not going to be anything for us because like it's Shazam and Pet Cemetery that weekend.
Unless you want to see Pet Cemetery.
I'm not horror's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But then the weekend after that's Hellboy, and we're still debating on whether or not we're going to see Missing Link.
Yeah, I like the studio, but I haven't seen anything in the trailers that's really gotten me interested in it.
I will say that I am more interested in the movie after the most recent trailer than I was after the first teasers that came out.
Okay.
And then it looks like a pretty dead month the rest of the month until Endgame comes out.
I think people don't really want to be on either side of Endgame.
Yeah.
At least with their genre movies.
Yeah. So, man, Endgame. So, I want to double check this. So they don't have a time listed on IMDb yet. Looks like, but it looks like word is that it's going to be a 3-hour long movie.
Whew.
Dear God,
Yeah.
that is a long movie, especially for a genre flick. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
like,
gonna have to pace myself with the soda intake.
What
that's
other
for sure.
movies? What other movies? I mean, what other movies are really that long? It's like Titanic, Gods and Generals. I think was 3 hours,
It was
right?
more than 3 hours because there was
An intermission.
An intermission in Gods and Generals. I remember that, like going to see that in theaters years and years ago, and not expecting an intermission. Well, wasn't the last Infinity War like close to?
It was
3
like
hours?
it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, well, there's gonna be a break after Endgame because nobody wants to.
Nobody wants to be near that.
Yeah, and then the next thing after that's Detective Pikachu, and
Probably not 3 hours.
I'm actually really excited to see that movie. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I'm actually really wanting to see Detective Pikachu. It just looks funny to me. So, but yeah, that's what we got coming up. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, there's a riff track somewhere in there which we won't be reviewing, but
Yeah.
you should go check that out. That's in April, right?
Yeah, I think it's like April 18th or something like that.
Don't
quote me on that.
Yeah. So yeah, if any of that sounds of interest to you, you'd like to hear any reviews of any of that coming up, subscribe. You can check that out when we review that stuff. And if you want to go check out any of our other reviews, we reviewed Captain Marvel recently.
That was the last one we reviewed. So we have back-to-back Captain Marvel reviews.
Was that the last movie we saw?
Yep.
Huh. And then what was the last one before that? Alita?
Probably.
But
I don't remember.
okay.
Probably.
Well, yeah, go check those out though. Yeah, and go see Shazam because there's not really anything else in theater. If you haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, honestly, I would probably say see Captain Marvel first because you're not going to have a chance to see it outside of theater before Endgame. Not that there's anything in it that's like super important to Endgame.
But if you want to know about this character before you get it, because she's going to be heavily in Endgame.
And I don't think it's a spoiler or anything to say that
They set up Endgame in the post-movie credits.
Well, besides that, but I'm saying within the. I don't think it's spoiling anything to say that nothing in Captain Marvel is super relevant to Endgame because it takes place in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, which was 20 years ago.
Hmm. Yeah.
You had to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check those reviews out. Expect upcoming reviews from us. Once we get through like mid-May, we start getting more into like the summer blockbuster season. So we should be back to doing reviews more frequently. Because it's just been, first quarter of the year is always kind of dry as far as movie releases go. So, until next time, Thanks for listening. I mean,
Shazam!
I guess you could watch, but it's just a slideshow of stills from the movie, right?
Yeah,
And,
there's not very many
promotional stuff.
I'm being honest. There's not very many available out there.
Well,
Right
yeah,
now, until the movie's out,
Yeah.
it's always hard when we do these early screening ones. It's hard to find like suitable pictures. A lot of them are like really low res, or they're like have Entertainment Weekly splashed across them.
yeah. So, but yeah. Until next time.
Shazam!
Thanks for listening. Toodles.
Bye.